Hey, good evening. I'm really happy to have you here. My name is Daniel. I was a professional opera singer and beatboxer, and tonight we're going to be continuing down the Dan Vasc rabbit hole, particularly in the subset of The Witcher, and we're going to be listening to The Song of the White Wolf. So, haven't seen The Witcher, I have no idea what the song is, but after having heard quite a few pieces from Dan, I am just really excited to jump into this. I think Dan has such a dynamic scream and just overall really pure and powerful timbre and sound quality to his voice, and it's just a voice that I really enjoy listening to. So I'm really excited to jump into this one, and I hope you are as well. So without any further delay, let's just do it.
The call of the white wolf is loudest at the dawn. The call of a stone heart is broken and alone. Born of Cadmore. Driven snow. Burn out your eyes upon it. Let's sail on silver dawn. Lay not your breast against him. Our lips to ease his roll. For the song the white wolf will always be sung alone. For the song of the white wolf will always be sung Cast not your eyes upon him, lest he catch you with his sword. Lay not your heart against him, on your lips to ease his wrong. For the song of the wolf will always sing song of the white wolf.
Yeah.
Will always sing
I feel like I should have had 5 more minutes of that. Time just flew by. I feel like I just started reacting to this. Man, it's always a really fun feeling when you know something in its full length has finished, because it really lets you know how much fun you're having with something. But also, it's just slightly irritating because it's over. But That was so good. Some elements that I really enjoyed about it before jumping into the analysis is first, he had a ton of vocal control at the beginning. What he was doing in that beginning, being able to have such strong passaggio work. And for those that don't know what a passaggio is, it's that break in your voice. For male vocalists, it would be that transition between your chest voice and your head voice of that's your passaggio, that break. So for him to be playing right in that area and to do straight tones and then at the very end of musical cadences have this very benign vibrato that just rounds out the cadences themselves. Stylistically, it was very well chosen and it was executed very well, and his control in that beginning section was wonderful. His control throughout the entirety of the piece was wonderful, but just focusing on that section, really, really good stuff. And you can tell that when the music actually starts ramping up, you get more of what I've come to identify as Dan's intrinsic stage presence, where in the beginning of the piece, we see him and we see how locked in he is. But as the music starts ramping up, you see his chest pop out a little bit more and you get more of this commanding energy. And I really, really dig that. When I see live performances, or in this case, just watching videos, the music is obviously incredibly important, but also the performance itself is important as well. And that's always been a slight issue I've had with opera, where the vocalists on stage are so hyper fixated on the music and the exceptional execution of the music that their performance suffers because of it. So when you feel a certain energy from a performer just due to their presence, not even necessarily due to their music, I really love connecting with an artist in that way, just feeling this radiating power and confidence, and for that artist to utilize that energy to invigorate their voice and to have it serve as energy in the breath. I think that that's a wonderful element to Dan's performance. It was just so great. So let's just jump into the analysis. I'm really excited to pick it apart a little bit more.
The call of the white horse.
Yeah. Just right in the beginning here. You can tell that his mandible or his lower jaw is very relaxed. And when he's singing, he's allowing the breath. The sound is not so strictly controlled through certain mouth positions and lip positions and the way that the breath is being channeled. It's very loose. And that's why when he said the word wall, it's not wall, it's just kind of puffing his cheeks out a little bit. When he's allowing that breath so much liberty, it creates this very legato flow, even though that flow has a little bit of coarseness to it. It's kind of like being licked by a cat tongue, where it's this very continuous sequence of events, but there's a coarseness to that. I know that's a really odd metaphor, but hear me out on this. Just having that flow with that passaggio work and having just that essence of slight grittiness in those straight tones, just to add a little bit of contrast when he actually goes into a more pure vibrato, a pure sounding vibrato. I love the atmosphere and the textures he's building so far, and it's only 14 seconds in. Really great foreshadowing of what's to come in the piece, and I really dig that a lot.
It's loudest at the door.
Just door is duh. It's pretty nasal and it's very forward, but it's not duh. It's not so direct. The sound is just completely in his mask, and it's being directed through the bridge of his nose, or the center of his mask, to where it creates a slight nasal sound, but he's still very well supported and it's flowing out gently. It's nothing too powerful, and he's creating an atmosphere through this choice, and I really dig that a lot.
The call of the dawn.
Yeah.
The call
His pitch control and his breath control is exceptional here to be able to execute these to be able to start the cadences on these gentle scoops of and just having these little tweaks in his voice to really build this atmosphere. It's pretty difficult stuff, and you have to know your voice really well to execute it this consistently and well. So kudos to him, honestly.
The call of a stone heart is broke.
And his vibrato is so benign. It's so lovely having that gentle element of smooth pitch fluctuation just in the middle of these cadences, just to add a little bit of that contrast between that coarse straight tone and that pure vibrato. Oh, it's so wonderful.
All of a stone heart is broken
And yeah. The way he approaches passing notes, or notes that go from one particular stressed note or word in a musical cadence to the next particular stressed note or word in a musical cadence, and the road it takes to get there, that in between road are the passing notes. So for him to just do da 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 or whatever the passing notes were in that section, he just allowed those notes to be touched on and really flowed to his next destination very smoothly. And that was really well done. I don't think people give enough credit for the pacing or the timing of approaching passing notes. It's very easy to lose tempo in those sections, because for me personally, whenever I have to commit to doing sections of passing notes like that, I take this mentality with me even outside of music, which is I love getting lost in the side quests, if you will, or the detours. It's not always about destination to destination. I really enjoy the journey. So when I sing, especially singing pieces that have, this is a stressed area of a cadence, this is a stressed area of a cadence, and these are the notes that it's going to take to get there just on one vowel or whatever it is, and you have to do this quickly to get to this next destination. I usually find myself getting easily lost in that passing section just because I like the flow. I like the journey of those passing notes to get to the next section. So I usually end up losing the tempo in that way, even if it's just for a quarter second or a half second, and it just ruins the entire flow of the piece. But you know, it's practicing, and I will do whatever I want in my practice. But that being said, if I'm actually training for something, or if I'm rehearsing for a legitimate show that I'm being paid for, then I'll really focus, buckle down, and make sure that I execute it as well as I can. But what he did here is really, really well done. I appreciate the fact that all of those passing notes were, even though they were very brief, all of them were vocalized well, and he moved through them very swiftly, giving them the attention they deserved, but having the audience know that we are moving from this to this to this in this musical cadence, and really stressing the points of the cadence that need to be stressed, and I really appreciate that. Yeah. Just that intro, starting in that vocal fry and then vocalizing it, that's a nice textural choice. So classically, you would never do that, but for this context, I love it. I think it adds a nice grit, a nice texture, a nice contrast from the things that we've heard so far, and it's a good choice. Plus, it just fits so well with this very relaxed diction he has here. It's really cool. Oh, I love the way that he held on to that end there. Driven instead of driven. Driven. Yeah, dude. Love holding that end, not cutting off the sound, using the consonant of the sound, and allowing that closed sound to springboard into the next cadence. Wonderful choice.
As driven snow. against him. Our lips to
I love the fact that he's holding on to these vowels and closing them at the very tail end of the note, which might sound like a contrast in comparison to me loving the fact that he held on to an N immediately instead of holding on to a vowel. But I think that's the genius about this, where you use that closed consonant to springboard into the next cadence sparingly, where you create this beautiful atmosphere of holding on to these wonderful vowels, these very pure open vowels, and then closing them at the very tail end to then give you a lot of momentum to rise into the next cadence. It's kind of like taking a ball, jumping into a pool of water, and then letting go of the ball to have the ball fly up out of the pool. And when he closes vowels into consonants and then utilizes it, he just creates a contrast, more contrast, and I really, really love that. It's not anything outside of the piece or anything bizarre or jarring by any means. It all fits within the context, and I dig it a lot.
lay not your breast against him. Our lips to ease his roll.
Yeah.
For the song of the white wolf will always be sung alone. For the song of the white wolf.
I love that you just see the beat powering his body. It's like watching a titan just take a step. Doom, doom. You just feel that energy every single downbeat. Oh my gosh. So powerful and commanding. I love it.
For the song of the white wolf will always be sung alone. Cast not your eyes upon him, lest he kiss you with his soul. Lay not your heart against him, on your lips to ease his wrong.
I love how he just so seamlessly transitions from this intense, near yelling energy into this very pure vibrato and these straight tones, and it still feels very relaxed, even though we are getting more ramped up in this section. This feels like our rising action if we're focusing on the model for storytelling, which would be exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution. So this definitely feels like we're ramping up in this rising action here before really exploding into the climax. I love the structure of this.
For the song of the white.
Oh yeah, that was just that pure straight tone. It was so bright and big, and I'm listening to that again.
On your lips to ease his wrong. For the song of the white wolf will always sing.
Oh, just the way that he held onto that microphone. Yeah, dude. It feels like we're not underwater per se, but just that slow pull, it gives that feeling that the air around us is so intense that the movement of everything in the world has just slowed down, so we can really just absorb ourselves into this music. It's like being pressed into a giant sponge, if you will, where it's a pressure, but it's not like it hurts or anything because we're just being absorbed into it. But it's a little bizarre. I know my metaphors are a little off-putting, but my point still stays the same. Oh, and just starting on that note and then finishing it off. But yeah, dude, love that. Oh! And I love the intensity of this guitarist. This solo right here is freaking awesome. I always love a good guitar riff, and this dude is just really feeling the intensity of the music just as much as Dan is. And I'm always one to believe that if you're on stage, you are performing just as much as the lead role is. Even if you're a side character, even if you are townsperson number 5 in the way back, if you still have as much focus on the story as the lead character does, then you are contributing to the overall storytelling of the piece. And in this particular instance, in terms of a music video, having that same level of command and intensity and presence as the leading vocalist does, as Dan does, it just contributes to how strong this piece feels. It's not just a guitarist just vibing with the solo, even though that would have been fine, honestly. I love the fact that we're still in this world of command and intensity. It's so refreshing. I love this drone from the guitar. Really good stuff here.
For the song of the wine.
And notice that all of this was straight tone until the very end of the cadence. We're coming back into this recapitulation of the beginning of the piece where it was very straight tone until the vibrato was just put in as an accent in the middle of the cadence or used solely at the end of cadences. So to come back into this kind of atmosphere, this kind of setting and tone is a really nice choice. It's a good way to round out everything.
Will always say
So typically when you do multiple notes on one vowel, the idea of it is committing to things called a silent H. And we would do this all the time in classical music, where if you start on a vowel or a word that sounds like it starts like a vowel, like hour in terms of time, it would start off with something guttural like hour, kind of thing. So you would add that silent H, even though hour itself does have an H in it. My point still being is that even if you were doing O-U-R instead, hour, you would commit to an R instead of R. And just adding that silent H just makes the piece texturally feel so much more smooth instead of having something a little bit more jagged of R, where the smoothness of the silent H being R. But you don't want that H to be really pronounced, because pronouncing that H not only can have a tendency to dry out your larynx a little bit more, but it also separates notes, especially if you're doing multiple notes in sequence of in comparison to just adding that strong H very much separates notes. But in this particular context, I actually really do like the fact that he is stressing a little bit of this H, because he is separating these notes. It is important to separate these notes. It adds a tremendous amount of weight and importance to each individual note. The idea of this particular musical cadence isn't to flow beautifully, it's to add a lot of weight to each note. Like I was saying, it feels like we're in this very thick air and it's more, and we're just moving a little bit slower. We're in this slow motion realm. So to feel the weight of everything, I think is really nice. I like feeling this pressure. it just ends too soon. But it was still a really wonderful piece, and he did such an amazing job with it. I really enjoyed listening to it for sure. Dan, brother, that was a really great performance, and the guitarist as well. I don't know your name, but you were really, really good too. And the entire performance, I expected nothing less from this performance. Just your energy, the way you approached it, your execution of it, it was all superb. I really digged it. So really great job, man. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. If y'all liked it, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And if you didn't like it, please leave a dislike and let me know why in the comments below. I do read all of the comments, even if I may not heart or reply to all of them, so please know that your comments do not go unnoticed, and I do take them into consideration as I make future videos. My live streams are currently Thursdays at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so if you guys would like to stop by and say hey, or ask any questions about myself or the channel or anything, just feel free to stop by and I will absolutely be there for you guys. Due to a lot of computer issues and copyright and just this nightmare I've been dealing with, my Patreon has been delayed, and some of the videos that I've been putting out recently have also been delayed, but I made a community post about that. So I really appreciate your patience as I continue to navigate this. I want to take this time to express my deep gratitude and appreciation for all of you being here watching these videos. I really do appreciate it, and just thank you so much. And I can't wait to see all of you in the next video. Have a great rest of your evening, everyone.